Hey everybody, Cloud Jacobs, Big Duck Energy here in the shop. I'm going to be talking about a couple calls today. That's kind of the direction I see this channel going in. You know, I'm a call maker and I like to collect calls, and the community's great, but it's small. I would like to expand that community a little bit, bring more younger guys into it, because you know the old guys have all the good stuff anyway. So this is more for the younger collector, but it's really for anybody who has any interest in duck calls, collecting, anything like that. And so I've got a couple calls here today, and let's jump right into it. So I brought these 5 calls with me today, and this is the first one I'm going to talk about, and it is a beauty. Figured we'd start off with a banger. This is a June bug. They call it June bug because of the acrylic, and I'm going to get a better shot of this here in just a second. But what's really special about this call is this little flame symbol right here. In 2016, R&T, the shop in Stuttgart, burned, and they were able to salvage some calls out of the call counter, and they put this little flame emblem on the barrel and on the insert. Let me show you guys better picture. There she is. And so what's special to me about this call is that it hung on my lanyard for several years. And my dad brought one home from the sale. I said, man, I really like that. And I had just been getting into duck hunting for a couple years. I said, man, I'd like to have one of those for my lanyard. So he went out the next day and he bought one. And this is the one that hung on my lanyard for several years before I started making calls. Every time I post a picture of it, it never fails. Somebody messages me and they want to buy it. But I mean, you can tell I've had mud down in those lines, probably a little bit of duck blood over the years, but man, I never part with this call. It's beautiful. Whenever the sunlight hit it first thing in the morning when it was hanging on your lanyard, I don't know if it flared any ducks, man, but I really loved this call. I'm glad I ended up with it. Here's how it sounds. That call has been with me on some good hunts, and it's called in some ducks. The second call is nowhere near as pretty as the first call. This is the first call that was ever turned in this shop. It's made out of basswood, and it's got a little number 3 on the top of it because we turned 2 barrels before. But let me just preface this by saying that my dad and I knew nothing about making duck calls. We had a pretty decent collection, and I wanted to jump over into the call making aspect of it. And so we watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I read a bunch of forums. We ordered some tools, and it was just from the very beginning, March 2019. It was we had to learn everything that we know. You know, it was all trial and error. Let's take a look at the insert. Man, it is terrible. I'm surprised I'm showing everybody. Had to put sticky tack in it to keep it in, keep the cork and the reed in. We actually somehow managed to drill it somewhat straight, and we didn't have a jig. We didn't have one of these to stick it in to get the precise cut, so we just cut it with a coping saw, and that's how it turned out. It's awful to look at now, but man, we were really proud. We were really proud of this duck call after we made it. Here's how it sounds. Can't really do a feed call, but it did make a sound, and this was one step closer to us being able to do what we do now. Number 3, we've got a little bit prettier call here. We've got an African Blackwood call. Got the band on it, got the pins in it. We've got some really shallow checkering, and the top isn't checkered. And what's special to me about this call is that ever since we started making calls, every duck season, I'll make my dad a call and my dad will make me a call. Well, this was the first duck call that he made me for the 2019-2020 season. 2019? Yeah, that's right. 2019-2020 season. Now, my dad is more of a classic guy, as you can tell. He's got kind of the classic duck call shape, got kind of an Alvin Taylor lip there, and he's only made 1 or 2 calls that he hasn't checkered. He always told me he loved a good checker job. This is one of, I guess, probably one that he didn't checker the insert. And if memory serves, Dad was not tuning calls at this time, and I believe I tuned this call. And there's his signature stamp on the top. I can't get away with stuff like that because I work at a high school. But here's how it sounds. And this one hung on my lanyard that first year and killed some ducks with it. All right, number 4. This is a call by John Stevens, Stuttgart, Arkansas. John owns and runs R&T in Stuttgart. And this was, let's see, I got this call in 2020 or 2021. John actually ended up buying my 100th call. It was a pot belly, and it had a green barrel and a purple top, and I said it was the Hulk call. And so he turns around and makes this one, and I'm lucky I got to end up with it. So this call is a weirdo. Pretty signature shape for John. He doesn't do a lot of real crazy colors, so that's what makes this one unique. And he actually did a whole set of these superhero calls, and I've got a picture here that I'll put up. But he posted on Instagram that it was a Cloud Jacobs tribute call, and he didn't tell me anything about it, and I didn't know John that well back then. I started showing up to the Callapalooza, the VIP nights, and the show. I'd been making calls for 3 weeks before the first Callapalooza, and I was just all about it. I wanted to learn everything I could about it. And the first time I actually saw John, I turned around and told Dalton, I said, "Oh my God, that's John Stevens. That's the duck call man." And now he's just a good friend, but at the time it was a big deal, you know. And after a couple years, after we kind of got to know each other, he's big into duck calls. He's also a big Star Wars fan. That's kind of how we bonded a little bit. But the Cloud Jacobs tribute call, the Weirdo, one of my absolute favorites. Probably the last of my John calls that I'd part with. Here's how it sounds. This call has never killed ducks. It has always been at the house in one of my glass boxes where I can look at it all the time. And I don't know, maybe one day it might, but it might not. All right, the last call here is a very unique looking call. And this is a post-bio call. Post-bio from Gillette, Arkansas, home of the coon supper. And this is their signature model. I love this shape. I wish I would have come up with it myself. This call is green Bodock with an African Blackwood insert at the end. And what I really love about this particular shape, you can do so much with it. You can make it bigger, skinnier, you can put burn lines in it, you can cut lines in it. But every post-bio call, hope you can see it there, it's got this little flourish around the end. It's just, I think it's so cool. And then right here on the insert, TP, Tyler Place, XL. I think I got this at Callapalooza last year, and they've got Gillette, Arkansas stamped on the top. So what's special about this call is that I actually taught these folks how to make calls. I worked in Stuttgart for 10 years, and 3 years ago, I got a job in DeWitt, which Stuttgart's in the north of the county, DeWitt's in the south of the county. And I met a woman named Laura Beth Place. And she's very interested in history and genealogy and all that. And one day, she got to talking to me about duck calls. And I made her a list of things that she needed to make duck calls. I went out to their place in Gillette, I think it was the first time I'd ever been. And I showed them how to make duck calls. And the cool thing about Post Bio is that they're local. They're Arkansas County folks. They're really good people. But Laura Beth has turned a few calls. Her husband, Tyler, he's a farmer. He turns most of the calls. He turned this one, the TP on the insert. But the really cool thing is that her son, Braxton, and Ben also turn calls. So I've got a call from each of them. I am still waiting on a call from Ben. I told him I'd buy it or swap him one, whatever he wanted to do. But this call is special to me because these are kind of like some of my call making students, I guess, in a way. You know, I taught them how to make calls, and they really got after it. They're just really in love with it. You can tell the quality, the sound, everything is just top notch with Post Bio. So hopefully one day I can get them down here in the shop and get them on a show, and they can tell you guys a little bit about themselves. But here's how this one sounds, the Signature Series. So yeah, these are 5 calls in my collection that mean quite a bit to me. I'm glad I got to share with you guys today, and I'm thinking maybe a video every week, something like that. Maybe a little bit more if I can find the time in between making calls, getting ready for Callapalooza and the Real Foot Show and the call socials and all that. But I appreciate you watching, and if you enjoyed it, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Y'all take it easy.